Namaskaram. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me here live, or some of you are joining a little bit later. So I hope you enjoy this whenever you get to watch it. So welcome back after a nice long break. I hope you feel nice and rejuvenated and had a lovely Easter and maybe a little holiday. I know I sort of had tiny mini holidays, so it's been nice. So we've come back to an 8-week block this time, and we decided on the theme of change. Actually, it was Robin's suggestion to do something with change, which is an excellent one because, well, life is constantly in flux. But at the moment, we have been going through enormous amount of change. Last year was a very challenging year for change. And my belief is that this is just the beginning of a lot of deep and fundamental change and shifts that are going to happen. So individually, we may have been experiencing a lot of personal change and upgrades and questioning and reshuffling, maybe change of home or job, or all sorts of different things have been going on for different people. So things are definitely surfacing with this big shift that's going on a collective and global scale. So I think that's going to continue on over the years. And we do need tools in order to help, because humans by nature don't like change. We struggle with it, even if we want the change and we know it's good for us. There is something deep inside us that says staying the same is safer than change. So it's just this safety mechanism that we have, that we resist change quite a bit. So yoga is an excellent tool to help us navigate those times of change. It is great to have the practice, so when change comes, you're in a better position to navigate with a sense of ease and grace. However, we're in the thick of it. Most of you here have been doing yoga for years and pretty consistently. So you're in a good place, but it is really good to know and understand the ins and outs of how yoga can help us. And there's many branches to yoga, so I definitely wouldn't recommend just relying solely on asana, though asana is really, really helpful. And if it's the only thing you can pull out, then it will still help and support you. But of course, meditation, contemplation, our yamas and niyamas are also really integral in helping us navigate change and making decisions. So they're like the 10 commandments of yoga. So we want a lot of tools in our bag, but this obviously class is focused on the asana. So we've got a few different ways, because there's a lot of different types of change and a few different ways you can use your practice to support you. Today, we're going to look at when we're in a bout of change and we're finding that challenging, what is the best way to use your practice to support you? And I found the best way for me is to really strip back my practice and to rely on something that I know, something that is simple, something that is unchallenging, that doesn't confront me, and I can just step into it, and it is a place that I can come into that feels safe, secure, and familiar. So when we look at change as a flux, your practice wants to be a place that you can come to and know is safe and reliable for you. So today we're coming back to some very, really quite basic practice and working with salutes. So I tend to do my own type of salutes. You may have your own salute that you could work with on your own personal practice, but I'm going to play with salutes because I like, moving my body in different ways. So we're going to work with that today and some simple postures. So that's going to be it. So if you haven't done yoga for a while, this shouldn't be too bad for you. So let's come into the practice by starting to lie on your back. Let's hope I can get this camera work correct. We're going to lie on our back with our feet on the floor. Just make yourself comfortable Tuck the shoulder blades in a little bit towards each other. Lengthen your tail so you can lengthen the lower back, and you might like to either just have your hands out to the side with the palms facing up. You might even like to place the hands on the body, one on the belly, one on the ribs. And let's just ground down first, because this is part of the important practice when it comes to change, is to really ground yourself, really allow yourself to feel the support of the earth beneath you. So feel your body beginning to connect with the floor beneath you, and then find the rhythm of your breath. You might like to start by taking a couple of deep inhales in through the nose and sighing slowly out through the mouth. As you release the breath out of the mouth, allow the muscles to relax and soften, and any over gripping or holding within the joints and the muscles, just let the breath, the exhale, slowly melt it out, release it down. You might like to, as you begin to settle, just roll the head from side to side a couple of times as we get a little clear on any tension in the neck and shoulders. And then just come to the rhythm of your breath when you're ready. And begin to deepen the inhale through the nose and exhaling also through the nose. Find a steady rhythm, say, to the count of 4. And if you can inhale comfortably and gently, deeply to the count of 4, exhale to the same count. And just allow that rhythm to grow comfortably in the body. Don't force the breath. Don't become uncomfortable in any way with the breathing practices. But as you find this rhythm, see if you can have this natural opening, extending into the moment between the breaths. And if you've been doing this for a while, you know that there's pause there. If you haven't done yoga for a while, you might want to just begin to notice that there is a moment between the breaths and begin to gently allow them to extend by just holding there for a moment. And for those of you who have been with me for a while and we've been working with this, see if you can come onto the height of your inhale and pause there. And as you pause, have the experience that the breath is spreading through the entirety of the body, relaxing you, and then allow the exhalation to come. And if you can pause at the bottom of the exhale, see if you can have this same experience of the emptiness spreading through the body. And even if it's just a small micro moment in your attention and your awareness. So the pausing, the retention of the breath, is really an internal experience rather than the outer shell of the body contracting and trying to hold the breath in, but allowing this sense of movement and spreading and ease on the retentions. Retentions here can last anywhere between perhaps 2 to 4 seconds to go with the breath. And then just one more round wherever you are. And then just allowing natural breath to return. See how you feel. And then lift your hands off the floor so they're just over the elbow, and begin to rotate them so the upper arm's still on the floor. But you can have it any which way you like, you know. And just rotating the wrists in a couple of different directions. And then allow the arms to drop back down to the floor a little bit further away from the body. And have those feet nice and wide, about shoulder distance rather than hip distance. We take an inhale and allow the exhalation to drop the knees down to the left-hand side. And use the inhalation to rise them back to the center and the exhale to drop them down to the right. And continue inhaling center. And this time, as you exhale, knees to the left, drop the head to the right. And then inhale both back to the center. And exhale both back to the opposite sides. And repeat in your own time for a few rounds. Just feeling into the body and letting the breath and the movement marry. Once you finish on the right-hand side, dropping the knees to the right, come back to the center. Hug the thighs in and just give enough room so you can rotate the ankles a few times in each direction. And then hug the knees in. And you might like a little rock from side to side, or my favorite is to do a couple of little circles with the knees, massaging the lower back and sacrum. But take what feels right and good for your body. A few rocks from side to side, or a couple of turns in each direction with the knees. And then this little rocking of the spine. So if we do the spinal roll, if that doesn't work in your spine, it's really, really uncomfortable, you can also just do a little bit more from side to side. And after a couple of rocks, I'd like you just to simply rock all the way up to cross legs. And then you can roll perhaps all the way over. And if that doesn't work for you, just come out through the side. It's pretty chilly here, right? Is everybody, you're all in the same area. Yeah, it's pretty cold this morning. Winter is coming very, very quickly, isn't it? Okay, so we're coming into cats. So placing the hands in under the shoulders and the knees in under the hips and the feet in line with the knees. So get nice and comfortable. You can tuck the toes or have the feet flat, I don't mind. And we're just going to start with swaying the tail from side to side. And don't be in a rush with this. As we swish the hips from left to right, just focus with the eyes closed perhaps on the movement through the body, on what goes on in the hips, and then how that movement flows up through the spine. So we want this undulation through the spine all the way from the tail. And you should feel it really all the way to the crown, even though there may not be a huge amount of movement by the time it arrives to the top of the spine. And I always call the crown the top of the spine, even though obviously that's not true. And then coming back to the center, we'll do a few rounds of cat-cow, these really basic, steady movements that the body knows so well and can rely on so nicely. So take an inhale, and as you exhale, begin to drop the head and tail, press the hands into the floor, and just push your sit bones a little bit more forward, and really open up into the upper shoulders. And then inhale to roll the sit bones up. Press the hands into the floor towards the knees and lift the chest and chin. And then exhale, draw the navel in towards the spine, drop the head and tail round through the spine, push the sit bones a little forward as you press the hands into the floor and towards the top of your mat. And then inhale, rolling up again. Rolling the sit bones, lifting the heart, the chest, and the chin. And then exhale, coiling back in, dropping the head and tail. Rounding through, squeezing face and the hips together now. And then just a few rounds in your own time. You might like to turn the left palm out, hand out so the fingers come in and do a round with the left fingers facing in towards the knees. Inhaling up and exhaling down. And then on an inhale, release that hand back to normal. Take the other one and place the fingers in. And exhale down. Do a round with it there. And then release it out. If you need to come off and just sit back and shake out the wrist for a moment, you're welcome to do that. And then we come back just to neutral. Take a little dip here as we inhale, dropping the ribs down, sit bones up. And as we exhale, begin a slight coil in and lift the knees up and push back. And just it's like a tiny little low dog. And then inhale back onto the knees, rolling sit bones and heart up. And then exhale, a half coil in as you press the hands into the floor, lift the knees and push right back. So we're lengthening the spine, not the back of the legs. And then inhale, knees back, hips or sit bones and chest up. And exhale, half coil, push back, get long through the spine. Inhale, knees rolling up, looking up. And exhale, pushing back. And here you can begin the push back and begin to think about the legs, the feet. You might like to begin to lengthen one leg, dropping one heel, and then the other as you straighten the leg out. And we just begin to come into warming up in our downward dog. And if it's comfortable for you, you can just come with both feet or heels reaching towards the floor, legs as straight as they can be with comfort. And just take a moment as you press all four corners of your hands into the floor. Really press the index knuckle finger into the floor and lengthen up through the inner arms into the inner shoulder blades, drawing the inner shoulder blades down towards your hips and lengthening the outer shoulder blades down towards your hands. And then a simple half coil. So we're going to lift the heels and half round as we push a little forward. And then exhale, just push back. Straightening the back of the legs and the spine. And then inhale, lift the heels, drop the head in, round, half round through the back as you push a little forward. And then exhale, push back and straighten. 2 more rounds as we half coil, lifting the heels, rounding through the spine. Exhale, push back. And last one, inhale, lift those heels, drop the head, rounding half forward as you come, come forward. And then exhale back. Begin as you're ready to walk your feet to your hands. You might like to come up onto your fingertips as you begin to come closer. And your feet can be just at hip distance. It may be that you like to have blocks at this point. If you have blocks, they could be useful. You don't have to, but they could be there as some support.
Fully hang, completely folding over the legs, softening the knees as much as you need to help comfort there. And take a nice full deep breath here as you begin to feel into the evenness of your feet, the evenness of your hips, the lengthening of the spine, the relaxation of the shoulders and arms and head. Taking one last breath there. Then bend the knees nice and deeply. And you'll feel how as you bend the knees, if you just hang over the thighs, it's grounding the spine. Completely keep those arms and head relaxed as you begin to press the feet into the floor and push up. Straightening the body, shoulders land over the hips as the head rises over the pelvis. And then we can inhale, reach arms up and over the head. See, I'm not quite in full camera. And then exhale down through the center. And hands can land at the heart. And just take a moment to close the eyes and to open the gaze inward. Just begin to feel how things are, how the body is, what's going on for you. Find the breath, the rhythm of your breath. I'm joined with all the animals as usual. They like to be in here with me. Okay, so we're going to come into a couple of gentle rounds of a salute to the sun. There are going to be some variations involved in it, particularly the first round. And we'll just gently build it and change it out. But move nice and slowly, methodically, and keep your attention on the experience of the movements. So you're placing everything very specifically and mindfully. And of course, we never lose the attention of the breath. Movement and breath are marrying each other. They instigate each other into the practice. They integrate. All right, so as you're ready, letting the hands drop down and then inhale, sweeping the arms up and over. Keep pressing the feet into the floor as the hands meet overhead. And exhale, begin to fold, softening the knees as you dive down. And you can have your blocks here right under your hands to support as you release the head completely. And then a half lift here. Straightening the back of the legs a little bit more as you lengthen the spine. And then exhale to fold again, softening the knees and just allowing the torso to hang over the thighs. And then half lift again, inhale, straighten the legs a little bit more, lengthen the back. Exhale, soften the knees and release over the thighs. One more lift. Inhale, half lift. And this time as we exhale, we're stepping back that left leg and coming down into our lunge. So again, blocks under the hands could be useful here. Back of the knee, the back knee is to the floor. And then we're going to inhale and pull back that right hip as we drop our nose towards our knee. And exhale as we rock forward, pressing the back foot into the floor to lift the chest and look up. Inhale, pull back once again, right hip pulls back, knee, nose drops into the knee. And exhale, rock forward, pressing that back foot into the earth for support. Open the heart, look up, forward. And then last one, inhale, pull back. Nose to knee. And exhale, rock forward. We're going to tuck the back toe. You can flatten the hands to the floor. You could even use blocks here to come into downward facing dog. Lift the back knee, coil through the center. Use that exhalation to step back that right foot to the left. The feet are now at hip distance as the hands are now at shoulder distance. Find that connection of the hands, the four corners into the floor, and particularly focus on the index finger. Lengthen up from that index finger through the inner length of the arms into the inner shoulder blades, pulling back into the tail. And then find the outer shoulder blades pulling all the way back into the little finger. And then inhale, lift those heels once again. It's a half coil here, dropping the head, rounding forward a little bit, and then exhale, push back, just as we did before. We've got 2 more of those. Inhale, lift the heels, half round and forward, and exhale, push back. And inhale, lift the heels, round forward, exhale, push back. And then this time, inhale, bending the knees, dropping them to the floor. Keep rolling up the chest, the sit bones. And as you exhale, suck in that lower belly, drop the chest and the chin towards the floor. It's going a little bit forward to enable that process. And then straighten the legs out on the exhale, not on when it does. We're going to inhale and lift the left leg as we look up. And exhale to release down. Inhale, lift the right leg and look up. And exhale down. So 2 more rounds. Inhale, left leg, look up. Lengthen away at the same time. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift up and lengthen. Exhale to release. 1 more round. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Left leg. Release. Inhale, lift and lengthen the right leg. Release. And then inhale, just your torso if you can. A little lift without any help of the arms. Keep the tail long and feet pressing, reaching away and pressing into the floor. And the hands are under the shoulders. Release the effort and then inhale, push up into half plank or a cat pose. Tuck those toes and exhale all the way into dog. And then just get your stance comfortable for a comfortable downward dog. And as you're ready, we're going to lift those heels and do that coiling action again. But at the same time, we're bringing our left foot with us. So the left foot comes to land beside the left hand. We use an exhalation to drop the back knee and foot to the floor. And then we inhale and pull the left hip back, drop the nose to the knee, and exhale, rock forward. So we've got 3 of these. Let the body just do the movement, because we've imprinted this a lot through our practice. Those of you who've been with me for a long time, we know this movement really well. And last round. Coming into the lunge. As you do, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. Usually that's an inhalation. You can bend that back foot, put some weight into it, press yourself forward, feet come to hip distance, half lift, and we use that exhalation to fold. See where the back of the legs are at, and then bend the knees deeply and roll up like a ragdoll once again. And as the shoulders come over the hips, the arms begin to lift up and over the head. You might like to watch as the hands move, even if the eyes are closed, and then draw the hands down through the center to the heart. Take a moment to feel into the body. The eyes can be closed and the gaze inward, and experiencing the beautiful awakening of the cellular body, the energetic body. Find your breath, and anything that needs moving out, like your wrists or your hips or your neck, please just take these little moments in between to self-assess and address. And then as you're ready, we drop the hands down, and once again, we inhale, press the feet into the floor as the arms come wide and up. Maybe watch as the hands meet, but suck that belly, lower belly in for support, and then dive down, softening the knees as you do with a flat back, and then releasing the head completely. Half lift as we straighten the back of the legs a little bit more. And then we're going to step back this time with that right leg coming all the way back and dropping the knee to the floor. This time the left hand comes onto the knee, and we're going to inhale and rise up with the right hand. You can pull the hips back a little bit to come over that back knee. And then as you exhale, releasing the arm down and pushing the hips forward. Inhale, rise with that hand pushed back a little if that's helpful for you. Get long through the lower back. And then exhale, push a little forward, dropping that arm down. And last one, inhale, arm rises. Keep the arm there. And as you exhale, just dip a little more forward. Press that back foot into the floor. Squeeze the hips together. And take one more inhale into the fingers. And as you exhale, releasing all the way down, both hands to either blocks or to the floor. We are coming into dog. So tap the back toes, lift the knee on the inhalation. The exhalation as we push the floor away from us and lift that left foot back to the right. And then inhale, lift the heels, half coil forward, rounding, release the head completely. Exhale, push back. You might even like to try lifting your toes as you push back this time. And then inhale, lift the heels, half round forward. And then exhale, push the floor with the hands as the toes begin to lift and the heels begin to drop. You can let go of the toe thing if it's not working for you. One more, inhale, round half forward, relax head. And then exhale, pushing back onto your heels, from hands to hips, from hips to heels. And then inhale, lift the heels, then the knees, drop them to the earth. Keep lifting the heart and chin, and then exhale. Suck the lower navel in towards the spine. Bend the elbows in towards your ribs and drop forward and down. And then straighten the legs, release the body to the floor. And now this time, inhale with a little bit of support from the hands. Cobra, Bhujangasana. Exhale, release down. Tuck the toes back under and inhale, press back into half plank or your cat. And exhale all the way into downward facing dog. Adjusting the feet to make sure you feel fully comfortable in your dog. Perhaps a little wag of the tail here to release any tension gathering in the hips or lower back. Just stretching a little into the side, waist, side body as you do, and then come back to the center. And we do this lifting of the heels and the coiling in and a little forward as we bring that right foot forward at the same time, dropping the back knee to the floor. Right hand to the right knee, and inhale, rise with the left arm. And if you like, pulling back a little, getting long through the tail and lower back, and exhale, keeping the length that you've gathered there as you drop the hips a little bit more forward. Inhale, rise, and if you like, push back. And as we exhale, grounding down, keeping the length that we've gained. One more round. Inhale, lift the arm, hips draw back, keep the arm where it is, but then allow the hips to just begin to press forward. Keep pressing into both feet here, squeeze the hips together and take one inhale into your fingers. And as you exhale, releasing the hands down to the floor. The next inhale is a tucking of the toe and a lifting of the knee and bending back into that back leg. And as we exhale, we step forward with control to hip distance feet. Half lifting, extending through the spine, and then exhale, folding over the thighs, releasing completely. And let's take a breath here and feel the feet pressing into the floor. Feel the hips, the sit bones rolling up towards the ceiling, and feel the shoulders and the head, the neck completely relaxing and releasing. And if you like, you could swing the chin a couple of times from side to side to release through there. And then come back to the center. Bend those knees deeply and begin to roll up like a rag doll, pressing the feet into the floor. Shoulders land over the hips and the arms begin to rise. And we lift our chin with the hands meeting overhead. And then exhale to draw in through the center to the heart. And once again, we arrive back home here with our eyes closed and our gaze inward. Find the breath, it shouldn't be too hard. Find the heartbeat perhaps. And find any agitation in the body or any experience that needs addressing, or indeed enjoying. Press the feet into the floor as you're ready. Inhale, I'm going to direct line up through the center, but you can come out the sides if you prefer. Feet press in as the hands reach up, and then dive down, opening the arms wide, heart leading as we fold over our thighs, completely release the head as you arrive, and then half lift on the inhalation. And as we exhale, stepping back again with that left leg, touching the floor quietly and the knee dropping down. Both arms this time, you can flatten that back foot. Get firm through both feet and inhale, rise with both arms up. And as we exhale, we're just going to sit into some stability, pressing both feet into the floor, squeezing the hips together. Keeping the tail long and the lower belly engaged, the heart open and the shoulders relaxed. You can have a little play with the wrists here. They felt like they needed something. And then one last inhale. Press the back foot into the floor, in particular. Drop the hips down and open the heart a little bit more. And then use that exhalation to come on down. And then let's just take one inhale as we pull that right hip back and lay the torso down the leg. And let's take the exhale here as well. That foot can be lifted if it likes. And then inhale as we rock forward, coming back into the lunge. Hands flatten to the floor or your blocks as the back toes tuck and the knee lifts. And we use the exhalation to lift that right leg back to the left. Feel both hands pressing evenly into the floor and the index knuckle pressing down, lengthening all the way up that inner arm to the inner shoulder blades, drawing back down to the tail. As you lengthen the hips and the thigh bone back down to the heels. Lengthen from tail to crown. And then as you're ready, inhale, lift the heels, half coil, drop the knees, and continue the inhale as you roll the sit bones up, lift chest and chin. And as you exhale, suck the lower navel in, bend the elbows in towards your ribs and come down and forward with control. And as your heart and chin touch down, lift the knees off and straighten the legs. Use an inhale to come up into your cobra. And as you exhale, rolling back down. This time we're going to do something a little different. We're going to straighten out that left arm along the floor at the height of your, arm, shoulder. And then we're going to push with the right hand into the floor under the shoulder. So you can just take that right leg over to the back floor, to the floor behind you. And then we use an inhalation to roll back onto the belly, straighten the right arm out, left hand under that shoulder, and then push over that left leg over to the right side. Yum, 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 yum. And then inhale. We roll back onto our belly, hands in under, and we exhale, push back into half plank, into dog. And again, just getting yourself comfortable, perhaps a little wag of the tail, any little adjustments that you feel you need. And then when you're ready, we lift those heels again. We begin to half round, coming forward, bringing that left leg with us as we do, dropping the back knee to the floor, and then, as you know, preparing for the lift off. Both feet press in and inhale, reach the arms forward and up or out and up. And as we exhale, with that tail nice and long and the belly engaged, press that back foot into the floor and see if you can guide the hips a little bit more forward and down, squeezing the hips together, reaching into perhaps your playful hands, and then relaxing through the shoulders. One more breath in as you perhaps give it all you've got, opening the heart, and then exhale. Arms coming out and down once again on either side of the foot or on blocks. And then inhale, pull the left hip back as you drop your torso to lay it across the thigh. You can lift the foot and really dig the heel in and pull back into the hip, and we really beautifully open the back of the leg there. And then use an inhalation to come forward once again. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee and bend that back knee. So you've got the weight there. Use that exhalation to then step forward, feet at hip distance and folding over. Once again, let's take a full round of breath here so we can really begin to relax and release any tension building in the shoulders, neck, spine, even hips. You could have a little wriggle here. You might even like to sway a little from side to side. And then coming back to the center as you're ready. Bend those knees nice and deeply. Begin to press the feet into the floor, head and arms heavy. Belly in support, shoulders over hips, then we lengthen the arms up and over. Maybe we like to watch as the hands meet overhead. And as we exhale, slowly drawing the arms down through the center, perhaps even touching the forehead as it comes down to the heart. You can let the hands just drop down if that's more comfortable for you to completely relax in. Have the eyes shut if you can and the gaze inward. Begin to allow the breath to neutralize and stabilize. If it's got a little bit heavy or a little bit more deep, just let it naturalize out. I don't even know if that's good. Just begin to feel into your body and to emanate this sense of complete ease and relaxation within your own skin. So when we feel into that breath, it feels natural and uninhibited. Though we may have some activity here, there's a sense of relaxation through the muscles. And just be, to the best of your ability, completely at ease with yourself. And as you find that personal ease, you may feel the feet begin to connect more deeply to the floor beneath you. And that's this grounded feeling that we really want to look for in moments of flux. So from here, we're simply going to turn the right foot in and step the left foot out. Or if you want to do it the other way around because you'll be able to see me, then that's okay, because we just want to have an open stance. So whatever way works for you. Just check that your feet are at hip distance and that your toes aren't poking out too much. That we want the toes preferably in line with the heels. Tadasana feet as well. You might feel like rolling out to the outer edges a little bit so you can activate the lift in the arch, but be sure to be firm into the ball of the big toe and that the rest of the foot is spreading out into the floor. Take an inhale as the arms come out and up and lifting over the head. You again might like to watch as the hands meet. And then exhale, folding, leading with the heart coming down just a little slowly. You might want your blocks here as well. That might be useful. And as we arrive here, we're just going to soften the knees a little bit here. Anna, you could really do with softening your knees perhaps. That's it. Get nice and comfortable. We're going to sway the hip from side to side, preferably without knees bending at the moment. So just the hip wagging or pulling from left to right a couple of times so you can assess what's going on in the hips. And then come back to the center. And we're going to walk our hands to the right and we're going to turn our right foot out. So it's 90 degrees. And then that back left foot, we're just going to kick the heel out a little bit. You can have a block here just at the heel of your foot and you can press into that block with the right hand so that the hand is directly under the shoulder and come in to lift that left arm into Trikonasana. You don't need to use the block, but it can be useful. Otherwise, you can be holding on to your ankle. We're not really working with a lot of strength here right now. We're just working with something that's fairly obtainable and unchallenging. So that's why we might use support. But go with what feels good for you. You might take a moment to look up at the hand and press the feet into the floor. And then exhale, we're going to release that hand down. And we're going to take the block if you're using it. And we're going to place it just out from the foot, maybe a foot or so's distance. So we can then begin to lift up. You can even, I find it quite nice to turn my right heel out a little bit here. And then I can access the twist a little bit more. It's a variation, it's a hybrid of a couple of poses here. So don't get too concerned about alignment, but just giving the spine a little bit of a twist in something that should be relatively easy to achieve. Taking a couple of breaths there. Inhale, reach into that top hand and then exhale, release down and out. Tuck the right toes in, bring the left heel in. You might like to place that block on the other side. And then we fold down and just release through the spine, head and shoulders. Then we're going to bend the knees quite deeply and roll up like a ragdoll through the center here. Arms coming out and up as shoulders arrive over the hips. Maybe the hands just gently touch. And then as we exhale, the arms come out and wide. And we're going to do the interlace behind our back. If you can't do interlace, you can just grab your elbows or something like that. So do a variation that you know works for you. Bend the knees a little bit as you scoop into your lower belly, lifting the lower belly into solar plexus into the heart, and then begin to really draw those shoulder blades back and down and lift the arms away from the buttocks. You can have bent elbows here if you need to, of course. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, begin to suck the lower belly in as you draw the heart down, forward and down. Adjust the feet as you go if you need to, perhaps kicking the heels out a little bit more than the toes, or making some small adjustment that feels right for you. And then just allow the arms to hang over the head or up in the air, or wherever they sort of go. Take a couple of breaths to allow the shoulders time to release. Be mindful of the weight into the left and right sides, but also the heel and the ball. So don't go too far forward and don't press too far back. We are Goldilocks, devotees. And then we're going to take a half lift. And as you half lift, the hands will drop to the buttocks, and then use the exhalation to roll them down the back of the legs. And just a little sway from side to side, perhaps this time bending through one knee and then the other as you rock from side to side, and rolling out the shoulders as you go. Coming back to the center and turning to that left foot and turning the left foot out 90 degrees, that back heel out just a little bit. If you're using a block, you can take the block to the heel of that left leg, press the hand into it, get that nice alignment, and then lift the right arm and reach the right hand up. Now we want to find both feet pressing into the floor. We can have this like external rotation in that back leg to keep the hip integral. And it's a little bit more like a external rotation in the front leg. See how that feels to you, if that helps the hips somehow. Reaching from hand to hands. Taking one more breath as you reach into your fingertips, twinkle, twinkle. And as you exhale, release the arm down. You can bend that front knee a little bit as you change the block. Taking it about a foot, maybe a foot and a half away from that foot, right, left foot. And then press in the right hand into the block and lift the left arm. And just see what's going on in your hips, your feet. Making any little adjustments to make yourself comfortable here. Press the right hand into the block and reach up into the left hand. And if you like, you can have a little wrist release there. One more breath as you reach up, and then exhale as you release out. Tuck the left toes in. Right heel might need a little adjustment, and just fold for a moment. And then we bend the knees and roll up like a ragdoll. Arms up and over. And then as we exhale, arms wide, coming back behind us. Opposite interlace. So if it's your right finger in front, now it's your left finger in front. And then inhale. Suck up from the soles of your feet into your belly, belly into your heart. Hands lift away from the buttocks, and then scoop the lower belly in towards the spine as you fold forward, pressing the feet into the floor and away from each other a little bit to support the descent. And then as you arrive, the knees can soften and the head relaxes. And we just allow the arms to come up and over to the best of their ability. Take a couple of deep breaths here, keeping some attention on the work of the feet and the legs and the evenness of the pose. And then as you're ready, half lift, allowing the arms drop that down to the buttocks and exhale to fold the arms down the back of the legs and back into the fold. And once again, you might like a little swish, swish from side to side, and maybe rolling out those shoulders in a figure of 8 sort of movement as you go. And then as you're ready, we're going to turn all the way around back to the top of our mat. So turning out the right foot or whatever side it is for you, stepping back with that left foot. Have your feet now nice and wide, widen them out to the distance of your shoulders. And then we're just going to begin to bend the knees as we flatten the back. And you can lift the heels as you allow the buttocks to descend to the floor. So take the support that you need. You're coming into a yogic squat. And your thighs are on either side of your torso, and the hands, the elbows, they're on the inner edge of your knees. And you can just gently squeeze the knees into the thighs, arms, and the arms back into the thighs. If you're using any other support, that's brilliant. I love it. Take a breath here, just releasing through the lower back, just allowing the tail to descend a little, for the hips to get a little heavy, but at the same time, a gentle extension and lifting out through to the crown. One more breath there. And we can use the exhalation to squeeze ourselves into a little ball as we drop the buttocks to the floor, or, place the buttocks to the floor, or it might be that you need to support yourself with the hands behind your back. Bringing the soles of the feet together and just making an adjustment to your, to your pose so you're comfortable. Hands can be around the ankles or around the feet or toes, but whatever it is, please make sure that they're nice and wide through the chest from collarbone to collarbone. Feel the sit bones begin to find the floor, to snuggle into the floor. And lengthening the spine over the hips, shoulders over the hips. As you begin to find the breath. You might like to activate a gentle ujjayi here. As you lengthen up on the inhalation, begin to press the feet into each other on the exhalation. And if you like, you can lengthen up on an inhalation while pressing those feet in together and slightly lean forward into the pose with a nice flat back. Head remains lifted, everything is in line. Yeah, so we've got this nice line. And we're just really focusing this into the hips. So press those feet in together, and particularly the outer edge of the feet in together, the heel and the outer edge of the feet together. Even the ball of the big toes can open up and away from each other a little bit, and see how that feels in allowing the hips to open up a little bit more. One more breath there. And then use an inhalation to slowly guide your way back up. Gather your knees in towards each other. Get comfortable on your buttocks again. It might need a little shuffle of the flesh of your cute little ass. And then we're just going to really slowly coil down. So offer the hands up and coil through the center, and see if you can find this vertebra by vertebra back down to the floor. Allow the hands to come into our cactus shape on the floor. Widen the feet so they're at hip distance. And take 3 deep breaths. We want our feet at hip distance behind the sit bones, and we're going to lengthen the arms down along the body so the palms are on the floor beside the hips. When you're ready, I'd like you to take an inhale to begin to press the feet into the floor, lift the hips, and begin a slow peel of the spine off the floor. You might need a little shuffling of the shoulder blades as you begin to come into the heights, and then exhale. Vertebra by vertebra, rolling back down, slowly trying to find each vertebra onto the floor. And then we repeat, inhaling, feet press in, hips lift, and the spine peels off the floor. And as you begin to find your height, just make any little adjustments that you need and begin to press the arms into the floor. And then exhale, vertebra by vertebra down. And last one, feet press into the floor. We lift the hips, peel the spine. And as we begin to come into the fullness of our opening, we can begin to walk those shoulder blades in towards each other a little bit more. Press the tops of the arms and hands into the floor a little bit more. You might even like to interlace your hands. Draw the shoulder blades in towards each other and walk those feet in a little bit more if you want a little bit more height. And keep reaching or pressing the full length of the arms into the floor, feet into the floor, tail towards the knees, and the chest towards the chin. Gentle pressing of the back of the head into the floor as well to support the neck. Let the belly scoop back in towards the spine as you hold. And then slowly release all that engagement, release the interlace, shrug the shoulders a little bit, and drop vertebra by vertebra back down to the floor. And just land the hips there for a moment. Get comfortable and take a breath as the body washes over with the effects of the back bend. You might like to roll your head from side to side a couple of times now. You might like to hug the knees in now. Squeeze them into the torso. You could even lift your head to your knees. Perhaps you'd like to come back to rocking from side to side or a couple of rounds of rotation to release any tension in the lower back. Dropping the feet to the floor once again, and then just allowing the knees to drop down to one side for 2 or 3 rounds of breath. And then back to the center, and an exhalation to drop them to the opposite side for a couple of rounds of breath. And then back to the center. If you need another squeeze in, please do. You might even like to lengthen the legs all the way over your head so the feet come toward the floor. They're not going to touch the floor, but toward the floor, over your head, just a little inverted forward fold. And then just releasing there and finding your way into Shavasana. You might need to put some warmer clothes on here in Gippsland. It's pretty cold. Any socks or blankets or anything that is going to keep you comfy. So spread the legs out to either corner of your mat as you begin to lay yourself down. And take the flesh of your buttocks down a little bit there, and then draw the shoulder blades in towards each other and allow the arms to sit separate from the torso with the palms facing up. You might like a little tiny folded blanket or really thin cushion to go under the head if that feels comfortable for you. Otherwise, we just lengthen the back of the neck up, or back of the head up, and then allow the neck to be in neutral. And once you've laid yourself down methodically and carefully, you can just rest here, allowing the body to relax on the earth. Feeling that grounded earth energy. Connecting with it and letting it reassure you. Earth time is really slow time. Human time is super, super fast, So connect to the earth's energy, to the gravity that holds you in place, that supports you. Let the bones of your body become heavy. Feeling into that skeletal structure that supports you. And with that, allow the muscles hugging the bones to just soften, to let go of the grip. Have a sense of hanging loosely. Whenever you find yourself distracted, just find the breath again, the rhythm of your breathing. Establish connection. And feel how it affects the body, how it can help you relax the body. And feel how the breath can make you feel safe and relaxed. And if that isn't your experience of the breath, it's okay. Sometimes experiencing the breath makes us feel nervous, uncomfortable. Just witnessing what is arising for you and allowing everything to be okay and in perfect and beautiful order. So begin the journey back by finding the breath again, and in particular the inhalations. Inviting the inhale in deeply and fully, as if the inhale can flow to all four corners of your body. To the fullness of your being. And any little movement that feels right for you to begin to bring yourself out of the grounding and calming Shavasana.
As you're ready, you can perhaps roll on to one side. And coming to sit up as you're ready. You may like to have the eyes remain shut and the gaze inward, just continuing the inner experience. Perhaps bringing your hands into prayer at the heart center. And I'm going to close class with a chant. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamurachate Purnasyat Purnamavaya Purnamavavishishyade. Together with Om Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. This is perfect. That is perfect. You take away this perfect from that perfect, and still only perfection remains. Om, peace, peace, peace. Life is perfect and everything is in perfect order, even when it seems chaotic and really not possible. So I hope you enjoyed class this morning, and I hope to see you again next week. Namaste.